What is up, and welcome back everyone to my countdown of the top 10 worst things about modern gaming. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I strongly recommend you check it out and get caught up. You can either click on the screen here if you're watching on PC on the annotation, or you can check the video description if you're on mobile to go ahead and watch that first. But without further ado, I want to continue on with the countdown, so here goes. Number 7, popular games that have bad cameras but refuse to admit it or improve upon it. You know, we've come a long way. I remember back at Mario 64 how terrible that camera was and how it would constantly get stuck and not show you the proper perspectives to see what you needed to do in certain situations. And admittedly, modern gaming is a lot better at that. You know, a lot of games are first person in this day and age, in which case the camera is controlled by you 100% of the time. And even in most third person action style games, the camera tends to be pretty good. But there's one series of games from one game developer that infamously I have issue with the camera, yet it seems like they don't want to ever improve it. That's right, From Software, I'm looking at you. I'm a huge fan of the Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, and now Bloodborne line of games, and I've played every single one of them. However, every time that I play one, without question, I end up having issues with the camera, especially in particular if I'm getting attacked by a mob of enemies in a confined space, or if I'm fighting a giant boss and I end up getting pushed into a wall or a cave or something like that. The camera sticks to the wall. I can't see anything. And because it's Dark Souls, I get pummeled into oblivion within a matter of 1 to 2 hits, forcing me to completely restart whatever I'm doing from the beginning or the previous bonfire or checkpoint. It's incredibly frustrating, and it's funny because whenever I play these games on stream and one of these deaths happen, people literally will say, yep, it's another Dark Souls camera issue, it's another From Software camera issue, yet they've never fixed it. It's almost like the cameraman for From Software games is like that inept half-brother who your mom tells you gotta give him a job because he can't get one anywhere else, so you can't lay him off or fire him even though you know he does a terrible job. He's just gotta stick around and always do it for you. I mean, they can't improve this camera. They can't make it in a third-person action game this popular that makes this much money that the camera doesn't get stuck in a wall, or at least will rotate somehow naturally during one of these fights so you can see what's going on. The bottom line is, in a third-person action game, if you can't see your character, you can't react. Why From Software still hasn't fixed this, even up to Dark Souls 3 when it happened to me this year, I don't get it. It's unexcusable. It needs to be fixed. Number 6, random number generator purchases in modern games. Now, this has been something that's irked me, in particular recently with mobile gaming. In games such as WWE Supercard, or Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle, or even in a very popular game like Hearthstone. If you want to buy something in these games, you can't just buy specifically what you want. Instead, you have to buy in-game credits that are then used as currency to purchase a random pack. For example, in WWE Supercard, if you want an epic level superstar, you're not allowed to just pick the one you want and spend a certain amount of money. Instead, you have to open a randomized pack that may or may not even have a character of that rarity that you're looking for, and you don't even know what character it is you're going to get if you get one. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be disappointed with what you get and either dump more money into it or end up dejected and disappointed and just not spending any more money. In Dokkan Battle, it's actually called a group summon, where you exchange crystals in order to get 10 randomized characters. And again, they could be incredibly low level and worthless to you, or they could be incredibly high level. Of course, that's incredibly rare that you would get that. The same thing goes for Hearthstone. You can't just buy the cards you want. Instead, you've got to spend your money on randomized pack drops with your fingers crossed and hope that eventually you're going to get the cards that you're looking for. It's ridiculous. In what other industry can't you buy what you want with your money? It's the vendor's job to set a price that they feel is appropriate. So yeah, if that's a really overpowered in-game item or card, you should have to spend more for it, but not just spend randomly in the hopes that maybe one day you'll get it. I don't understand. And to make matters even worse, it's spilled into the console realm as well. Look at games such as Halo 5 with its wreck drops and cases that you open up, and you get these randomized items and things that you can use in the multiplayer modes. Look at Call of Duty Black Ops 3 with its supply drops. Oh, I got a really epic level weapon. Well, no one else got it, but you got it because you're lucky, or maybe because you spent $500 opening random boxes for 2 hours. And of course, the most recent game that is guilty of this is very popular and called Overwatch. Yeah, if you want those really cool high-level skins and you want any kind of awesome colors or anything, you have to open up loot boxes that randomly will have good items, and most often than not, they'll have crap in them, so you end up spending tons and tons of money. The problem with this practice is not only that you can't pick and choose what you want, but it takes the control of the purchase out of the hands of the consumer. It makes it the equivalent of gambling. I mean, if you go to a casino and you play a slot machine and you pull the lever and immediately you win, you get something great, you get a reward, you're going to get hooked and you're going to probably want to keep gambling. That's the hook of a casino. But casinos are regulated to make sure that it's fair and that it works. The question is anyone regulating this RNG number style purchases in gaming? Is anyone making sure that this is legitimate? And how many people are out there dumping tons and tons of money, 20 times as much as the value of the game, into these games in order to get one item that they want? I think it's a slippery slope that's really dangerous. Now, I'm sure there's going to be naysayers out there that say this isn't a negative and it's not a big deal. Allow me to give you an analogy. Imagine if you wanted to go to McDonald's today for dinner and you wanted to purchase a delicious Big Mac sandwich. You walk in, you put your money down on the counter, 1 Big Mac please, and the person behind the register says, "I'm sorry, you can't just order what you want here. You have to purchase a random food pack where you might or might not get what you want." "Okay, I'd like 1 random food pack please." "Oh, sorry, you got a McChicken sandwich this time. Would you like to just have that, or do you want to try again?" "Oh, you know what? I really want that Big Mac. I don't like the chicken here." "All right, $4 more. All right, here comes a random food pack." "Oh, sorry, you got chicken nuggets this time." "You're getting closer. If you just keep trying, maybe you'll get eventually what you actually want." "All right, I'll try 1 more time, and dope, you got a small Coke. Sorry, bub." So, you see what I mean? If this was the same kind of practice in any other business, who the hell would do it? Who would walk into a restaurant and buy hundreds of dollars of food in order to get the sandwich they want? Who would walk into any store and spend thousands of dollars before they get the item that they actually want to purchase? I don't understand why we put up with it in gaming. It's a curse on it, and we really need to step up and start talking about it collectively. Number 5, inconsistent performance of the same game across different platforms and consoles. This has always been an issue in gaming, but in the modern era when all the consoles are claiming to be of equivalent power and just as good as the other, it is really a sad fact that a lot of games don't perform the same across all platforms, even though these game developers and publishers charge the same amount of money for that game. Why is it that some games perform at 900p resolution on one console but 1080p on the other, higher frame rate, lower frame rate, more consistent frame rate? It's bullshit. Even though there are different hardware setups in these consoles, if you're paying the same amount of money for that game as someone who bought it on a different platform, you should get an equivalent gaming experience, and it is not acceptable in 2016 that we're still getting inconsistency amongst the different ports. The most recent game that had this issue for me was Dark Souls 3. I played it on the Xbox One, and I had just recently, a year earlier, played Bloodborne on the PS4, and I noticed there seemed to be a significant amount of input lag in the Xbox One version. I pushed the button, and my character would take a significant amount of time to react. And I was like, it's not like this in Bloodborne. It was actually pretty quick with the reactions in that game. I don't understand what's going on. Well, yes, it's found that the Xbox One version of Dark Souls 3 does have more input delay than the PS4 version. So guess what? You actually are playing a harder game if you're playing it on Xbox One, simply because they couldn't port it properly and make it work the same way on both consoles. That's bullshit, because I paid the same amount of money for the same game as everyone who bought it on PS4, so shame on From Software for that. Number 4, everything in gaming has become some kind of a vile online competition, even if you're not playing a competitive game. You know, I didn't know too much about this one until I started on YouTube back in 2008, and I just started to casually record my gameplay and upload it to my YouTube channel at that time as a hobby. Over the years, I found that there just seems to be this one group of people who, no matter what you're playing, seem to think that everything is this high-level competition, and if you're not playing at their level or in their way or the way that they think is the approved approved way to play a certain style of game, that it's just unacceptable and you're just a disrespectful slob, and yada yada yada. Now, I can understand if there's someone who's saying, I'm gonna be great at a competitive game, like a first-person shooter or a fighting game, and then they never take the time to actually learn high-level tournament mechanics, but continue to talk shit. Okay, then maybe you can call them out and say, man, that person really isn't very good at that game. But you have to understand that there is an audience of people who go out there to play games who aren't in it to be the best player, who aren't in it for competition. Maybe they just want to play through the game at their own pace, in their own way, to have fun. What a novel concept, to play a game just to have fun. And I'm going to be honest here, there are a few communities out there that are singularly worse than a lot of others. Yes, again, I'm bringing it up, From Software in the Dark Souls games. It seems if you're not some massive level player who plays exactly the way that people call out you should be, fighting every enemy and mastering every aspect of the combat and completely countering every boss, you suck. Even though you might beat the game by playing it in a different style, you still suck and you're horrible and you're going to be derided and called out. Another series that's very infamous for this is the Metal Gear Solid series. God forbid that you play through the game and not actually pay attention to something that's going on, or even jokingly make fun of it or its creator, because I'll tell you from first-hand experience, even if you're just kidding around, it will blow up in your face and these people will stalk you for decades. They have some kind of just a massive ego and just elitist attitude when it comes to their favorite games, that God forbid that you would play it and not show it off to its utmost fullest capacity at a high ass level, which makes no sense, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, Dark Souls and Metal Gear Solid aren't competitive games. They're single player experiences meant to be played however the hell you want because you bought them. It's that simple. If we could have a much more accepting community who wasn't always in it for this elitist ass level of gameplay, I think that we'd all enjoy gaming a lot better. It sucks when you hear about someone who maybe recorded a playthrough, put it on YouTube for the very first time, and all they get are these negative ass comments about how they suck and they should have done it this way or that way. Come on, can't we all collectively grow up here and realize that gaming is about having fun at its core? I just don't get it. I've never been of that mentality except when it came to competitive Street Fighter. And you know what? In recent years, now that I'm out of that scene, I realize just how silly of a mentality that ever was to have been in. Ooh. Well, that's it for part 2 of the countdown, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed it. And once again, please leave a comment on the video. Let me know if you agree or you disagree with what I said in this video. I get the feeling some From Software fans are going to come at me, and that's perfectly fine. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like here on YouTube, spread the word about it amongst your friends, and check out the video description for things like my Loot Crate new subscription discount code and my Patreon. Part 3, the conclusion, is right around the corner. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you then. Peace out.